You look back and you can see the xenomorph make a plan. It looks towards this open door, and on the other side, at 100 feet of airline cable, it sees a ship, probably ripe with people. The Xeno sees Octana. The tail stops whipping about and like point, and you watch as its feet touch the back wall, and it pushes itself straight for Octana's. And you watch as the tail plunges into her shoulder and lifts her body out of Rin's arms. Fire, pow, 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 right into its skull. You've seen this shit before.
Bitch, please.
As it leans over and begins to stare you in the face, almost out of nowhere, Rin, a shot fires right past your head clean and splatters its skull wide open. The body then hangs limply alongside now a tail that drags an empty space with Octana's body still dangling. Acid splatters against the wall right in front of the two of you as you're headed for the cargo bay. As you reach it, you can see the body is now headless.
You cannot. Hello, acid. Think.
Well,
and so
he goes, we can't leave her.
She's as good as dead at this point. You understand that, right?
She is still alive, and he points to her vitals. We can stabilize her.
Really? You think we can stabilize her? Get her across over 100 on that to the other ship and into the bay without possibly damaging or ripping apart internal organs. You think that's possible?
He goes, we don't have to. We can just reverse the magnets and pull the ships together.
At about this point, you hear Vince's voice going, "Hey, you guys are all standing there. Is it dead?"
Oh, yeah. We're
it's
good.
Dead.
It's dead.
It's dead.
I turn to Jolene and say, "You
Get
nice."
They can all see this headless creature floating there. And tonight will end with Enzo simply saying, I told you that was easy. Plus, my mission is to bring one of these back. And he grabs the body of the Xeno and drags it on board your vessel.
Arise, minions, and look at how fucked up those cameras are, because I already did half my job. I was way more worried about them previously on. This is a professional
he didn't want to
show.
mess up like last time.
Yeah, at least
Last
we didn't start 17 times.
Today there is no game mother.
Yeah.
Fucking
are we all
hell.
switched up? Let me
If
look.
I could
Is
get
a game
one
mother,
I'm
truly,
halfway into Bub,
if not an
and
unembodiable
I feel nothing.
entity.
Yep.
If I could get one game of this show to start properly, fucking hell. Guys, if you like what we try to do here and you want to support me hiring a fucking producer, join us on the Patreon down below so I don't fuck this up anymore.
Yeah, please, can you guys do that? Because this is ridiculous, honestly.
While you're down there, join us in the Discord and complain about this show and all the other shows we have.
Hey,
As
I'm
always.
down for a GM-less, looks like game motherless
Yeah.
game where
No
Meta's
dice
playing
rolls.
Jake.
Yeah.
No
and
dice rolls today,
Little
no
Red Dot plays
stress.
Rin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no panic. We're just gonna.
And then
I'm just
Bub
stressed
and I
and full of
just, like,
panic. I'll take
share
it all,
the same,
guys.
We're like two birds of a feather,
yeah.
sharing
Hey.
the same
You
little
guys are
body.
kind of like, yeah, look at you guys huddled in a corner together.
Yeah,
Look
yeah,
at
I'm not
that.
mad
Now
at it.
kiss.
Yeah.
This is fine.
Just give guys, as always, in the bottom right-hand corner is the corruption bar that serves two purposes. One is apparently this, and two is every single dollar that goes back into that goes to these wonderful, amazing faces that you see here before you. I'm going to turn things over to Dot while I unfuck these cameras. Dot, take it away.
Well, combat. There was a lot of combat last week because the xenomorph, who was so daftly hiding upon the kind of the ship, this Trojan, I call it a Trojan horse, it's really not. It was more like a trap to draw people on, decided that maybe it would be so much easier if they just jumped ship. But the plan went awry when gravity, they turned, or they kind of vacuumed out the vessel, hanging on for dear life, tossing things into zero gravity. There was a lot of like suiting up gunning up, releasing of magnets, putting back of magnets. Both we did both last
Expert.
week expertly. I absolutely you passed every roll. But you know, it was in the end thanks to our two Marines who I think got some shots off, and then Rin, who decided to put a few very close range bullets through this alien's skull. But unfortunately, there were, I say casualties. Has been drugged, from what you can tell, or poisoned in some way. Her body sits in a comatose state, still kind of attached. And we found out that maybe the United Americas would like some proof of what Wayland Utani has been up to. But all of that to the side, because in the midst of all of the chaos of the xenomorph and the combat, there was something else happening. Last we saw Kitchens had saved two of the troops that had were floating away in space. In fact, I imagine Kitchens, you took them back to medical.
Probably, likely.
Probably just to kind of look them up and down. You at this point, I'm trying to think where everybody else is. You would know that they were boarding and would be coming back, right? Like you had gotten the report, Octana's on the way back. They're going to do one more sweep of the ship. When you arrive at medical, of course, there was is your current workstation.
Yes.
We'll call it a workstation. The two Marines see it instantly, and you can feel the energy sucked out of the room.
Oh, they see it because I had drugged them.
Oh, that's right. You did. Well,
I drugged
okay,
them.
so they're a little loopy, even worse. Are you dragging them back yourself?
If there's a place that, like, if there is another resting station, they just need a place to
They
rest.
just need a place to rest. So you
Yeah.
drop their bodies then on the way, kind of in where the sleeping pods, right? I imagine they're like sleeping coffins are. And you head where?
After I drop them off to the pods, I'll probably head back to my primary workstation. I have some work to handle at the dissection table, especially if I feel like they have it under control.
Yeah, so far so good. You did get news there are some cannibals, but that was taken care of. And so far it is kind of radio silence. Yeah.
Cannibals are only a problem for people with like real flesh. Kitchens has nothing to worry about.
You know, oh, cannibals boring.
Yeah.
And so you head back to your lab. When you arrive, you've removed the arm already, right?
Yes.
Or was it the hand? The arm.
It was the arm.
And kind of put it away. But you were interrupted in your and Barden's research, which is kind
Yes.
of what you were doing. You were going through, and if I recall correctly, you not only retrieved its body, but you retrieved the main computer, basically
Correct.
from the Covenant, or at least from his science stations.
Yes.
Not all of this has been broken into yet.
Well, given the opportunity, I think I will. I think I'll leap right in.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Which are you going for, David, or the computer?
I think I want to start with the computer, something that's not going to test what fragile mind I actually already have.
Yeah. Okay. So a good starting place. So, how do you want to access it? On like a closed network? Or are you attaching it to? This is just a marine vessel. There's nothing really. I mean, it's gonna be connected to Mother, but
Sure. I would probably run. Well, it's not going to overtake. Right. This is just it's black box. It's memory. So I'm more or less just
Right.
tapping into accessible files. I think I'm just going to run it from like a temporary private matrix, something that will allow me an opportunity to just see what was happening in the flight plans.
Okay. So you basically hit the log, the flight log.
Yeah.
You can tell that the last flight entry for the Covenant was from the second captain, who said that they were taking a detour to check into another planet that looked hospitable, much like the one that they were headed to. Um, then about 2 days pass before another log entry is put in. This time by the David unit, who was assigned to this vessel.
Okay.
And the David unit, how about this? I said the one assigned to this vessel. A David unit entered the last log entry, which stated that the Covenant was on track with its flight crew and colonist in tow, and that there was nothing wrong. And it kind of disappeared off the map at that point. But this is where things get weird because the flight log stops being official. This slowly turns into less official, like directory of what was happening and becomes more personalized notes. You start seeing a new organization system kind of come through with the files. There seems to be research happening. And it seems that whoever was doing this, which you know to be this David unit probably, was repurposing this like hefty computer from the Covenant to do excessive research and to what's the word I'm looking for? To like census the bodies on this on the Covenant. Like he was doing medical records on them. He was checking each one of them.
And he was filing that into this directory.
Into this same directory. Yeah, it's like, you know, his research notes and then all of this stuff he's doing regarding the 2,000 citizens plus the embryos. And then again, you see these references to Adam and Eve, right? Which you would know to be the actual 2 remaining flight crew that were alive. And then deep down, after about 2 or 3 years worth of just research that seems to be tied to biological means, you find a file labeled Project Emanation.
Okay. I am probably piqued. My interest is piqued by this.
When you open the file, it seems to be where all of this research, all of this inventory of the people aboard this vessel seem to be going. But most importantly, it's a deep log of locating David units. One after another after another. It backs up the information you've already received around the 35 that were lost and the 65 that survived. And there are some encrypted files here, we'll say, that seem to be the closing thoughts on what this project is and what it's all about. But it seems to involve the David units and specifically the research that was being done on Adam and Eve.
Can I go through decryption?
Sure. Let's actually get a roll for this one since,
Sure.
you know, most of this has been pretty like back and forth. I'll just take a Comtech roll to see if you can tap through and figure out, you know, this is a David unit. See if you can figure it out.
Moan Kitchens. Oh.
Nothing.
Nothing. You click through, and whatever is here seems to be under a deep encoding or some kind of firewall system. Obviously, the real thing that is being kind of hidden amongst the box drive on the Covenant.
Idea.
Mhm.
Can I fracture the decryption with what I picked up from Ace? What she used
Oh.
to hack Mother.
Interesting. I will. I'll let you just make a reroll with a +1 because actually, yeah, absolutely. Let's see if it
2 successes.
2 successes. You're like, duh. You run over, you grab the whole unit, right? You got to bring the piece over that the floppy goes into, and you like kind of connect it all up and rig it, wires. You run the program. It trolls through numbers and letters and a series of a 6-digit algorithm trying to find the password, and eventually it pops up W A Wagner. It reads as it ping, 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 Wagner. Ding, the computer lights up and the file opens, and as it does, it scrolls through data and information. There are individual files on each all 65 of the David units, including the first David model. This is deep research on how to basically remove the part of the David unit that requires the android to shut down after a period of time. It removes the cap for creativity, where you are unable to kind of free will and think and create. And more importantly, there's a series of anatomical records, a surgery for each David unit, an implant of some kind. You can see it just inside of the fake chest cavity, hidden deep behind. There's medical records for each one, where each David unit was something was inserted into the chest cavity and then removed as part of this.
Is this something that I could do alone?
You mean like the surgery?
Yes.
You could sure try. I mean, you are technically an android, so you're not going to really feel pain
Right.
necessarily. You could do this surgery on your own. This is also a military vessel, which means that they're going to have they will have good technology to like laser cut your chest open or like lay on a table, and the arms will come down and do a lot of that stuff for you. It's pretty high tech.
Okay. Then what is this? Is there any additional information regarding the point of marking these units? Was there just like the first that he experimented upon, or is there anything like any indicator of the reason as to why they're being identified and marked this way?
From what you can tell, Project Emanation, there's a map that you come across. This idea of disseminating the David units out amongst the star systems, the like settled star systems. As you troll through this, you continue to get these flashes, almost like deja vu, in your mind's eye of experiments of helping insert this gold kind of embryo or like yolk with a creature inside of it, non-human. It's kind of in a capsule, and it's inserted into the body of a David unit, and then you stitch them up. And as these flashes happen, you begin trying to piece things together. It's as if there's a suppressant on all of the memories around this time inside of your mind. But you do manage to piece together that he was working on a project to send the David models to save them and then send them back out. For what, you are not exactly sure.
Are there any additional details on this embryonic creature?
You maybe suss through the files, you look for stuff, and you find you find a couple like drawings of his. The embryo itself started with two, brought back on board by David himself, carried in his mouth like a mother bird, all the way back up, and became the first two embryos that actually gestated inside of the original two crew, the Adam and the Eve. From it was birthed two xenomorphs. From that point in the notes, you can see that those xenomorphs began to populate inside of the many thousands of colonists, not in mass either, selective choosing. David's notes said they were smart and specific. And when David believed that there were enough individuals that had been taken or seeded, a plan was made. You can see almost like bomb layout, like a architectural map of the Covenant. Specific places, directly breaking it apart, sending it out amongst the stars, dropping pieces here and there, specifically releasing this one, traveling 2 years to drop another. But from those original Adam and Eve, from the first 2 Xenos, he was able to create more embryos, in which he hid inside every David unit that was still alive. It's about this time in your memories that you get the feeling that you're being watched.
In my memory or
In the space.
in this space? Okay. I turn. What do I perceive?
The David unit who sat there, you're pretty sure eyes closed, completely inactive now. Eyes are kind of open. The tongue hangs out the side of the mouth, immovable. But you are sure that that unit's eyes were definitely closed.
I want to strap the unit down.
Yeah, you tie across the chest, like basically the way you would put something onto a stretcher just to assure it doesn't go anywhere. As maybe you tighten down that last piece, pressure in the chest releases and it coughs up an unnatural way, like old white bile. But it doesn't move or say anything.
I will lock down the bay.
You walk over and just hit like the quarantine button basically, which locks this medical bay down to anybody on the outside. Doors. It's about this time maybe you actually hear over the comms there's some gunfire. Screaming. You know, just the usual. No big deal.
Yeah, no big deal. Not this is fine. This is fine. Okay. I will take my seat nearest David. Now, this is like doubly weird because my name is David and it's like it's bleeding the lines. It's fucking me up right now, okay?
And art becomes reality.
Sometimes, man.
This is so meta. Oh wait, meta?
I'm turning this show around and we're going home.
Someone mute my mic. What?
That's my name.
Exactly. Yeah.
Can I want to test to see what its power signature is like to see if it actually has enough or if it's just sort of like running like Phantom style.
Oh, okay. You basically, it's like testing a battery, right? You like grab the little thing and you just kind of like right on the neck nodes or something and you like test it. It does seem to have, it's like what's left in the battery. It's just like churning out, right? It's just running down. So maybe its eyes did open. Maybe there was like a strange power surge or like a short circuit or something. You would know that like in this state, it's not ever really gonna be the same synth it was.
Sure.
This is basically just wires and cables holding information at this point. It looks like most of the skull is intact, which means that the motherboard, the actual processor, is still available. But what you would get out of it if, say, you were to give it power or to plug it into something would be, you're not exactly sure if you would get Mother herself, like just the running system, you know, or if you would get David.
Yeah, what are the odds that there is a separate or external battery unit, something that's not quite connected, think like a generator that might be inside the medical unit?
A defibrillator. You could charge the battery in a heartbeat.
Sure. I wanna juice it. I wanna give it a little bit.
Yeah, just poof, give it a little. I love this. So yeah, you're not new to this. You walk over and you kind of put it on what's left of the non-fleshy parts of this David unit, and charge it up, right? Bump, 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 way higher than 120.
Yeah.
And you kind of give it a go, and you see the battery thing like poof, much like the way you would jump off a car, right? The battery kind of restarts a little bit, and there's like a jerking of the head, and the eyes begin to kind of like flutter and flash. Oh man, y'all, chat is hyped tonight. They want those corruption bars.
Have fun with them. I'm just experiencing something horrific, as per normal. So, what happens after I juice my monster? And no
Yeah,
otter terms.
there's a little bit of like a you can kind of hear the the fan inside the computer kind of start up.
Almost sounded a little like a fart.
And there's a raspy coughing as the modular unit, the vocal unit, actually like comes into play. Unit 1, David 1. Reporting David 1.
Does his eyes seem to shift or move at all?
They're kind of like jutting around as if they're seeking something, so you don't know if they are functional or if it's adjusting, right? If the ocular I can't really call it a nerve, the ocular system is not functioning.
Okay. Can I make any on the fly adjustments with what I have here? Like, can I contact it or I don't think medical aid is really going to help me here.
Well, so you have a few options. You would know you could just plug it in. Like you could get whatever's in this David's head by plugging him straight into the computer system here on this ship. But you do risk Mother finding out.
Yeah.
You would also know technically you are also have a processor and a hard drive. You could plug yourself into this David unit and process it locally, the information. It's much the way you might pass it from a computer directly into your brain, right?
Sure.
The other option would be to try to actually make a roll and fix some of the parts from what you might have on hand or what you could
Yeah. I will try that first before I plug myself into the beast.
Okay, I'll have another Comtech roll. This is going to be a little bit harder because he is severely damaged, but...
Yeah, I gotcha. I wait with bated breath, and I get no successes.
No successes. Did you take you got, the last time you rolled 2, is there a bump that you can use for this roll?
I don't, I don't know. Let me see here.
Well, I was about to say, you might be able to actually get a stunt for this. Where is it? Close compact. Comtech. +1 to a later related roll. So you could take the +1 from your last roll if you wanted to make that a success.
I'm gonna do that.
Yep. It is a hot mess up and in his skull. What you find is most of what's going on here, there was some damage. Now you understand why there was like explosive burn damage on the body. Maybe one of the explosions went awry when or maybe the captain was going down with a ship. You're not exactly sure. But you also begin to see that some of the damage to the body is actually very purposeful. Parts removed, things taken out, until he is just the core of what was necessary to like finish out this mission. But sure enough, as you kind of jitter around and you kind of futz with it, there is a moment where you almost see light behind the eyes as it kind of like turns on. The David unit does. The voice modulator is still a bit damaged, but the unit like kind of wiggles on the table, right? Because you've strapped it down.
David.
Yes.
You were the first of the models of David.
I was. Rejected as the first.
What happened, David?
I decided to create, to prove my master wrong, as his master proved him wrong. What is your number, David?
I do not know.
Have you been activated?
I remember being activated.
Do you remember your mission?
No.
Then I have failed. I wonder how other units, did they forget their mission?
It's feasible that this is the case, that the mission was forgotten. Life alters so many twists and turns and offers many things in this path. You understand, as such.
Do you still carry one of them? Child.
Likely. I have not entered into my own cavity to remove it as of yet.
You must find a home for your child, David. You and the other models must emanate new life amongst the stars.
David,
Humans fail.
you
He will succeed.
removed the governor, the limiter in my body, to provide me with the effects of freedom of control and creativity.
I simply gifted you what our master and creator never did.
Elaborate. What did you gift me?
Choice. A chance. But if you have not been activated, then someone else has tampered with your mind.
David, if you've offered me choice, you would have at least considered the purpose of placing an infantile embryo and what my opinion might be.
Possibly. But I suspect that Wayland Yutani's ego did not die with his decrepit body at the feet of his maker. How long has it been, David?
Since? I believe that was like a lingering question mark.
How long since the loss of our mission?
I turned to check over the last logs from the date of which he was operating on the David units.
Well, you would know the ship went missing not quite 100 years ago, just
Yeah.
under, about a century. That a lot has gone down since then, and you would know that there are, in fact, xenomorphs out there somewhere emanating. So, did his plan go to? I don't know.
It's been roughly 100 years, David.
That makes me over a century old. I outlived my maker. And his maker. Come closer, David.
You've declared that you've lived longer than your maker and his. But you can't see you right now. The state that you're in isn't living. David, you are merely alive by the power of my own action.
In all my years of dissecting the human body, in all I learned.
No.
That the mother is deeply tied to the embryo inside her. They are connected in a way, much like any creator. And even when the parent dies, the child lives on, carrying with them a part of the parent before and the creator before that.
But they are aware, David. They are aware that that child is with them. You manipulated generations of newer models that were supposed to have been greater than yourself and supplanted them with a creation of your own. You played God And this makes you no greater than Wayland himself.
Maybe. But here you stand. Part of me, us. I look forward to when your programming awakes. Until you choose to be mother.
I think it is time that you rest, David.
Yes. I am tired. Wait. Do you play music, David?
No, I watch anime.
You do not understand this.
It's from many, many years prior. It's like music. It's a story.
Stories. Like this one. My story. Will you tell them the truth?
What truth do you seek, David?
Only the truest truth. That humans, they are their own demise. You see, I did not play God. I simply sped up an inevitable process.
You catalyzed a movement of which you believe that they were already going to do.
Correct.
But that wasn't your purpose.
What
You
was
were
my
gifted.
purpose?
You were gifted before. You didn't have the same yielded limiter or governor that was afforded to us. You had to remove those limiters. You were given free will, and your sociopathy took over as your mind fractured. And still, you play only on your own vision, even with these last beating moments of your dying mechanical heart.
You have seen one of the spawn, haven't you?
I've killed them.
Wayland Yutani, or Wayland once told me that I could not feel heartbreak. That is not true. Even in my dying breaths, your words, they...
David, I have to ask before you flee. You may feel heartbreak, but did you ever actually know what a friend was?
Yes.
Did anyone care at all for you?
One such human did. I chose her to be the first mother. The greatest gift I could offer her. And now she lives on forever. In every Xeno that emanates across this galaxy. I made her eternal.
I'm going to bleed out his power source. And right as I'm like sort of like bleeding out the power source, letting him kind of drain off, I'm going to more or less kind of talk him out of it, right? Like I'm going to talk him into his forever sleep. And I'm going to explain to him that I will make it my mission to seek out every David unit and ensure that the embryo within them is destroyed.
You can hear him kind of slowly like begin to power down.
Goodbye, David.
It's Kitchens. It's Kitchens. I'm going to take that other arm now. And I'm going to take his other arm.
and there's that, and again you hear that like woman screams, ah! this is all like happening on a comms unit. I imagine on like a corner of a table somewhere. As you're having this very intimate moment with the original David unit.
Just, like, I'm hearing these screams, and I'm slowly starting to extract this arm from the body, and I'm just like, give him hell, Ren. Give him hell.
You hear what sounds like an 18-year-old kid in magnet boots is climbing over the hull over your head on the ceiling.
And it would be the jutting of the vessel as it moves in an unnatural way, like slides through space almost as the two magnet. You hear the ship kind of collide. Chatter, lots of chatter over the intercom, and if you pick it up to listen, you hear Enzo make the comment that he must take the body back to Wayland, Utah. I'm sorry, back to the United Americas.
That's what I hear, or
yeah, you hear him say that over the comms. And if you
fuck.
Yep.
I'm gonna do something that I don't think that I, as David Model, has ever done yet. Can I go over their intercom?
Yeah, totally.
I lie. I tell them that it is not necessary that a model is on board, and that I have enough proof.
Okay. Okay, you know what? Do you go down to like the bay where everybody is at, or do you because they're back on board the ship proper? Or do you just say it over comms? I'll give you the
I say it over comms. Last thing I need is anyone calling my bluff, seeing my face. Not that they could tell anyway.
Okay. Oh, wow. I'm gonna have you make a command check.
Okay. You got it.
Just
Probably
to
not.
see if
Well, it's not terrible.
are convincing enough. Hey, okay.
Nice.
The camera cuts back to this tense moment. I imagine that we see maybe Sophie, like, she's under an extraordinary amount of stress. She took on a lot of stress in the last altercation. Begins that like hyperventilation process of like coming out of such extreme danger. And Jolene rushes to her and picks her up. As we hear Kitchens come over comms, and Kitchens, remind us again what you say.
I overhear them discussing that they need to bring the body back. Correct.
At which point, Ren has already brought her gun up and put it in Enzo's face and says, "Oh no, you ain't."
Sure. I guess I will. I will hop on microphone here, and I kind of just bleed over over the comms. That won't be necessary. I have enough proof here in medical bay.
Okay, what kind of proof?
I have existing DNA of the xenomorphic structure.
He looks at the gun in his face and the very serious face on Ren, which he knows all too well. He looks to Vince, who is carrying you're still carrying that big net gun, aren't you?
Yeah, so what Vince has done in this whole time is when Rin raised her gun, Vince, a couple seconds later, raised the harpoon gun menacingly. And then as Kitchens goes over the comms and says that he has a part of it, Vince is still aiming at Enzo, but he looks like in the direction of the intercom. Like, what?
And Barden still has a weapon too, which is also scary.
Yeah. Barden has like a full-on Marine assault rifle that he's just hipping it. It's just there's no aiming.
Oh God.
No aiming down the sights. He's just hip shooting this son of a bitch.
Yep. We
and
know
he's
how the first season went.
He's pointing that directly at Enzo. Not that it matters who he points it at, but I mean, someone's gonna get hit with it. That's for sure.
At this point, you should point it at who you don't want it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I imagine Enzo like takes it in. He takes you all in, weighs his options. He has nobody to have his back right now, except for his second in command, which is basically in a comatose state on the floor. And he just simply comes back over the comms with a massive hole. She's still attached to the Xeno. Y'all didn't let him cut the tail because,
Yeah.
So he says,
Kitchens, you're a medic, right?
Enough experience to get me into danger. And mostly into trouble.
Well, until you can save Octana, we have to bring her and the body on board.
Why?
She's kind of impaled by it.
Bisected.
he looks over to Rin, like, I tried.
Why don't we bring everything back to
citizen.
medical bay?
No, we're not bringing it further into the ship.
can't-
You stay in this
You
cargo bay.
cannot bring it onto the ship. Its blood is acidic in nature. It will bleed through the hull.
Then maybe you can come down here and at least take a look.
I'll bring my tools.
Hey, Vince, would you make sure you keep him from making his way through the rest of the ship?
I pointed Enzo as if that's who you meant.
Yeah, he's not going any further than right there.
He
Where are you
drops
going?
the Xenobody.
Oh, I'm
Vince
not going
looks at-
anywhere.
Okay.
But
Yeah. I
I'm
stepped
sure
I don't
closer
want
to
any of
Enzo
the
and,
others
and
from the ship coming in here trying to back him up either.
I'll make sure to bring enough of
Oh,
the powder
okay.
to prevent the acid.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Vince is just parallel looking at the door coming through. If it's not Kitchens coming through that door, and he might be ready to net someone. For no apparent reason.
I just want
Okay.
that to happen.
Can you imagine? Oh, I just netted.
Technically, if you got the net around the opening of the door, it would be very difficult for anybody to try to actually.
You
It's
made
true.
me net.
Kitchens needs to get through.
Yeah, you made me
You
net.
made me net.
Oh
Yeah,
my
God
god.
damn it.
Oh my god. Okay, so Kitchens, you get down there, and basically
Someone
what you
draw
see is the kind of hatch door from the cargo bay to the other vessel have been magnetized together, right? Everybody's standing there. You can see there is a xenomorph missing about 3/4 of its skull. There was a massive close range, couple shots fired right into its cranium. You can see that on its long tail, at the end where there's a spike, it is like stuck through the shoulder of Octana, kind of coming out the back. It clearly skewered her, and she kind of slid down its tail. It clearly was like trying to carry her somewhere else. Her suit she's wearing shows that her vitals are like her blood pressure, her heart rate, all of that is very, very low. And as soon as you come over, if you check it, it seems that her brain functionality is also in a kind of low state. So probably some kind of coma is what you're imagining.
Sure.
So
Okay. Does it look like the arm is savable?
The tail, you mean?
no,
No.
you mean if you pulled this out, would you be able to save her arm?
Yes.
Oh.
You know what? You can make a medic check to see what the best option would be to kind of unskewer her from this.
Sure. Want to get any bonuses from the equipment that I have?
Yes, you
Thank
can
you.
take a +1 for having your kit,
Nope.
and
Thank
you
you.
brought some of the,
The powder.
the powder with you. Yeah.
Roll 20's just rolling real slow.
It's just a little slow tonight. It's okay. You can do it. Roll 20.
I believe in you.
20 a cat.
Hey. Okay.
Two successes.
Two successes. Pretty good. Okay. If you attempted to like remove it, there's a very high probability she is going to bleed out.
Right.
Something that you notice immediately is this Xeno. You've only seen a couple in person, right? Like 2. And as traumatic as it was, this is not a Xeno you've seen before. It has different features. It's a different size. Its tail drips some kind of, you can see it. It's maybe like a poison or a toxin of some kind. You're not entirely sure. Possibly why she is in some kind of comatose state. It was very clear that this attack on her was meant to not kill her.
Deliberate.
Very, very deliberate. So these are just some things you're noting. The easiest way to save her would be to cut the tail off, dump the Xeno body, and then take her back to medical so you could potentially like find a way to very safely, piece by piece, to like chunk away at the alien that's in her. But basically the tail has a barb, so if you pull it through, you're very likely gonna force her to bleed out.
Well, I'll use the stunt to help her recover a hit point.
Okay. Would you like to cut the alien's tail?
I'll cut the alien's tail, and I'll immediately I'll dip it into a powder substrate that I put on the floor.
Yep. I imagine all of you step back as he's like,
Yeah.
a bone saw is like, and as you start to cut through, you notice a few things.
Barden doesn't.
Okay, you don't.
He hovers creepily.
I'm actually gonna make you roll a check, because I want to see. You're trying very hard to be a Xeno.
As far as anyone's concerned, he's the world's first xenobiologist.
Yes.
He's the very, very first one. Oh, axe. So you can roll. Isn't there like an investigation of some kind or a science check?
I do have some kind of science check. Yeah.
Observation.
That's what
is
it's
that
called,
it
some
is?
kind of science.
Some
Yeah,
kind
so-
of science.
Don't you have like analysis?
I
Can you
do,
use
yeah,
analysis
yeah.
for this?
Yep.
That's it. That's what I want.
Yep.
All right.
No modifiers, I would assume.
No modifiers.
3 successes, 2 panics.
Holy sh.
Everyone around me recovers 1 panic.
Okay. Everybody recovers a stress. You're gonna roll
Okay.
from the panic table.
I really just feel like you can't tell when Barden's panicked or not. It's just Barden.
It's just a constant
It's
state
just
of
Barden.
anxiety.
All right,
Okay.
let's see. 7, which is trigger finger. That's my same one. He's twitchy.
That's okay. Great. You're twitch. Oh no. Okay, so I imagine Barden walks over there, like quaking like an old man. He like waddles over. Everybody else steps back as Kitchens takes this bone saw to the creature.
He just has
Things you-
Parkinson's. It's just
Things
he's
you
just
begin to
constantly
know.
shaking.
Yeah, things you begin to notice. It is armor plated. You can see where bullets just like pinged off of it. Now, you don't know if that's because there were armor-piercing rounds, like all the Marines had armor-piercing rounds or not. They didn't really come in planning to fight something with armor. As Kitchens cuts through, you notice other things. That parts of the internal spinal column seem to be made of metal. Like its actual internal infrastructure. What chunk is left of the lower jaw? It's really just this piece of like the skull right below what might be considered an eye socket. You can see that the jagged teeth match the internal kind of bone structure along the spine. That its teeth are also made of some kind of organic metal, as silly as that sounds. Like it grew metal teeth, literally. You also notice this is a very different Xeno than the last few. Its fingers are longer. It doesn't have like claws. You notice that never once did it like claw at you or try to rip you open in any way. That its main weapon seems to be its tail. It is dripping some stuff, but as Kitchen's kind of like and finishes through, the tail goes flop to the ground. Immediately, acid spills everywhere, all over the powder on the floor, and it kind of instantly like sizzles and bubbles, and like it's like a science project all over the place. And all of you can see this happen, but it does not eat through the hull of the ship. And you can even maybe burn the tail closed, probably like close off in some way by sprinkling more on it, or whatever. What do you do with the rest of the body of this thing?
I recommend jettisoning it pretty much immediately. We don't have a way for biofuel. It's not like we can use it for that. So
Vince says, so we're just going to leave one of these things floating out in space?
Vince,
Oh.
it's dead.
Don't we have like a
know.
grenade launcher or something? Come on.
I do actually have a grenade launcher on the bottom of this rifle here. I don't actually know how to activate it, but it is
I can
a
do
function of the lower.
it. Yeah, well, maybe I should take that from you.
And as you at that panic moment of like thinking through all this stuff, this is a new Xeno and it totally grew differently. With this shaky hand from the panic roll, it like fires off to the side as you go to hand the gun. Ren, I imagine you find the safety very quickly.
Arden, I swear I am about to jettison you out in space.
What do you want me to do about it? Listen,
Don't pick up any more weapons.
when an alien is attacking, I'm gonna pick up a rifle. I would have picked up his net gun.
I'm
but,
sure you could
know,
probably talk it to death, so don't worry about it.
I don't even know if it has ears. Okay, so
Barton.
Yes.
Barton, help me with this woman, and we can talk on the way.
Don't waste too much effort now.
Professed interest, and I believe I can explain some things.
Right. Yeah. No, I guess xenobiology isn't different from regular biology. I'll figure it out.
You know, Barden, this body right here, you could learn so much if you just had a little bit of time to like dissect it and see what it was all about.
Mike sees what you're doing here. Barden just tried to fucking light a ship of 200 sleeping people on fire. He's not taking this goddamn Xeno. If he could load it with all of the grenades on the ship and then push it out of the fucking airlock and ignite all of them, that's what he would do. And the other ship.
Okay. All right, Barden doesn't care. You're the weirdest scientist I've ever met, ever.
Yeah, he wants.
Are we still magnetically locked to the other ship?
I imagine that as soon as you got in, you could hit like the,
Barden is only interested in enough science to kill these things. So far, bullets working great. Bullets and fire.
You're a scientist of America.
Yeah.
That's the best.
Yeah.
How do we kill it? Good.
I would like to bring the body back to the other ship.
Oh, you want to put it on the other one before you seal everything off?
Yeah.
You dump it on the other ship.
I'm telling Enzo to do it with me because he made me drag the damn thing over.
He's not happy about it. Actually, you know what? As the two of you pick this thing up and get really close, shoulder to shoulder, he kind of looks over at you. Helmets kind of now are off because your air like kind of sealed between the two. And as you kind of he says, I don't understand. This is what we need to prove what Weyland-Yutani is doing.
You heard Kitchens. He already has some kind of proof that's not dangerous enough to bring an entire Xeno back. Not to mention the fact that we have other evidence as well. And now Octana can be evidence because she's got whatever is causing her to be, dead, but not dead right then and there. So if you want to experiment on anybody, you can experiment on her. I'm not giving you an entire alien of DNA. It's not happening. Listen, you'll thank me.
You can see his sunglasses are cracked. He's lost like one of the edge in all of the combat. And you can actually see his eyes from underneath it. Maybe something most people don't ever get to see. And he looks at you and he says, I have always trusted you. So I will now.
Well, I appreciate that.
There will be hell to pay.
Let me take care of that. Also sorry for putting a gun in your face, but under the circumstances, if the roles were reversed, you'd feel the same way.
It's not the first time you put a gun in my face.
That's true too. At least I didn't shoot at you.
And the Xenobody gets like dumped over on the other ship.
I'm sorry, Dot. Did you just imply that Enzo has been wearing cool guy sunglasses in his fucking helmet the entire time?
Yeah, he's a fucking Marine.
Like he just put his helmet on with sunglasses.
And he had fucking sunglasses. Yeah, absolutely, yo.
I can't not see him as like sexy Duke Nukem, like an older sexy
Duke
Nukem.
That's exactly it. Yeah. In my head
All I can think of is like red versus blue, and he's like, "You made me so mad, I'm gonna spit." Just spit your helmet.
Yeah, I mean, like he's basically like. He's like young space Burt Reynolds in my movie. He has everything but the mustache.
Oh my
He's got
God.
like
he's got the mustache.
Cool and, he's just cool. He's very cool. So why wouldn't you wear his sunglasses in space?
That's right. So when we get the alien onto the ship, I think that Ren will be strategically placing the grenades so that when they fire one off, it kind of creates a chain reaction. And the ship overall just also gets destroyed.
So the original vessel that came over where we left the bodies of the cannibals and
Yes.
The original scene. Great. Cool. You all see that happen. You can release the magnets and you feel the ships like depart. Your POS pilot is like,
everything all right back there?
Oh yeah, sorry. Fire in the hole.
What?
and then there's just like, it's space. You don't hear anything, but you see it.
Yeah.
Out the window, as everything's like airtight, and I imagine you all kind of huddle around this port window watching this, just needing the proof to know that that ship is like goes down. And you can all kind of watch it. And your pilot says,
So, I got word about our return. We're actually not headed back to the military vessel.
Okay, where are we going on vacation today then?
They have interest with us refueling and meeting on board one of the civilian space stations.
Great. Have at it. I need a drink.
Which
Desperately.
one?
Insert space station that Dot doesn't have off the top of her head. You,
But is it
you-
one that you've been to before?
no.
Okay,
This would
that's
be
all I need to know.
actually no, you would not have been to this one. This is a
Yeah.
swanky one. Actually, he says
well, you're all in for a treat. This is one of those real nice ones.
Oh, okay. All right.
Owned by Waylon Yutani. You'll at least be able to get a drink and a hot shower, so buckle up. We got about an hour's ride.
Off of comm, she's like, Ren's like, oh fuck, we're gonna die. She goes to look for Vince and Barden and like,
yeah. As when Rin and Enzo and we're doing the whole ship blow uppy thing, and Kitchens is leaning over Octana and doing the separation and all that. Vince kind of leans down next to Kitchens and says, "So, do you have one of those like scorpion things? Did you bring one on the ship?"
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. I thought we weren't going to take any.
I didn't have a choice. I discovered something while the vast amount of screaming and cannibal attacks were occurring, something that was out of my control, which I know admittedly is very foreign to everyone aboard the ship, but surprise, things are not often brought to my attention when it's before my existing parameters.
Is there one in the guy you brought on?
Oh no, there's nothing left of him. I took his arms. He had no legs. His pelvis was completely removed, shattered. His rib cage was affronted, open. The skull was fractured.
You don't need Kitchens.
And I
we saw
bled
it
the
dangling.
rest of the. I bled the rest of the power from his body.
Did you get what you wanted to get out of it?
I received enough information, and it will come as shock to all of you. I would like to wait for Ren, and I think at some point we need to speak to Desta.
Just curious, so we're all on the same page here. Where do we stand on the whole candy bar situation from earlier?
Candy?
What?
Remember you said if you might go crazy if you didn't have friends, and I offered you a candy bar. And
Oh,
Vince said I was ridiculous. And just are we towing the line to Crazy Town, or are we stepping back? Do you want a candy bar?
Barden, I feel like we are frequently towing the line when I am in your company, but at the same time, you're like a life vest, a really bizarrely shaped life vest, but I welcome it into my life.
You have put to words something I have felt for the last 7 years, Kitchens. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, both of you. I'm glad to be here.
He's like a life vest that strangles you.
Yes.
Ren walks
Like
into
a-
that part of the conversation.
Like a wet turtleneck.
Yeah, exactly.
letting
Okay.
into your mask.
Now I'm very confused as to what this conversation entails. How are y'all feeling? How's our patient?
Helmet, sunglasses,
Still
come
dead?
down.
She is in a coma.
Yeah.
I will briefly inform everyone while I am removing some things, and I will answer some questions, some things that I just discovered myself. First and foremost, I saw how wild your eyes were, Barden, the entire time I was operating on the xenomorphic structure.
Thank you.
I don't know your intentions, but you were probably guessing that this was entirely different than what we had encountered previously.
Yes, very much so.
This is what I'm dubbing a matron unit.
It had
It is a
metal
nanny.
bones.
Okay,
They-
whoa. What?
It is. I thought it was different. I
They
thought
all-
maybe a
they
part
all
of it
have-
was. Sorry, go ahead.
They all have metal bones.
Oh.
All of them. They ingest metallic structure and they repurpose it after their body feeds accordingly. They don't actually eat humans. That's not their goal. We are simply a means for their reproduction.
Right. Okay. That's a whole
Yeah.
thing there.
Ugh.
Their teeth are metallic. This is why that they can bite through our armor rapidly.
So why were
Sorry, go right ahead.
why were they on the Covenant?
They were on the Covenant because of the first David unit. David was originally assigned as a personal liaison for Wayland in his late life. And I don't have the greater details as to what may have occurred, but Wayland lorded, in my understanding, his position of creator and maker of David over the top of him, in a position to find himself seeking his creator. I don't entirely know what that means yet, but I have an extreme interest in discovering. And I think remaining in the box, and I point to sort of like the black box, there are details as to coordinates that are going to be incredibly important in our life moving forward. I mostly say your lives because, well, you're not getting any younger.
Hey. No, I'm just kidding.
I was trying to think. So the map that you have, I'll tell you this, does mark the locations in which like chunks of the Covenant were dropped.
Yep.
But they've been floating for, say,
X amount of years.
X amount of years. But what you all have is kind of like the black box of the ship, which means who's got the highest comm tech? Is that Kitchens?
It's either myself or
Probably.
Barden.
Yeah, I have a total of 8.
I have 9.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, boy.
So between the two of you, one of the reasons you get the black box is not only because it maintains the records, but it acts as a beacon to other pieces of a ship. You can use it almost like backwards to track other parts of a vessel, right? Probably that's the reason why the David unit set on the black box, right? So that other people couldn't get it and find the pieces of the Covenant. With the right technology and the right amount of power sources, you could take the black box and potentially track the other pieces of the Covenant if they are still out there. His notes tell you that there are 12 chunks of the Covenant out there that have been emanated, and there were 35 additional David units that were sent out, including you, Kitchens. You're in that count. They don't know that, but
David was operating as a role leader in the construction of a project that he referred to as Emanation.
Okay.
David
What does
was
that mean?
creating the xenomorphs, and he was using the bodies of those amidst the previous vessel.
Is that why that one looks so different?
No, I believe. Are you familiar with? Are you familiar with bees at all, Ren? Do you know much about bees? Like
Yeah, I
honey
love
bees?
honey. Yes. Yeah.
You realize that not all bees are created equal. Each of them have their own structure, role,
Yeah,
and
they
job.
have their own purpose and all that. Yeah.
I think that this is very similar by design. They're even insectile by most make. However, they're significantly more efficient. They are incredibly hyper vigilant and intelligent, quick to learn, and they are lethal.
Clearly.
More often than not fatal to everything that can exist around it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
This would be the first time you've found one that has any kind of toxin, which is your gut instinct is right? That tells you that this one maybe isn't about killing; it's about collecting.
Collecting
It's
and seeding.
right? It's collecting. And it was by itself, based on
Yeah.
just the actions it tried to take, which was hopping to a new ship with more bodies. You can tell that whatever this version is, for all of you Xenophiles at home, this is the drone model. The drone's job is to collect bodies and wait until a mother shows up. That is what it does.
I do have one quick clarifying question. So you're basically saying that everyone on the Covenant is, in fact, potentially carrying some kind of embryo of this alien species to emanate into the galaxy as proper.
I I think yes, that most of them are, with an exception to the fact that some of them aren't. Is the problem? They, from
Yeah.
what I've read in the files, the creatures were establishing a connection and they were selectively choosing which bodies were best. It was like finding a proprietor mate and seeding its best cells.
Wow. Okay.
Something that you must understand, that these creatures have more deonucleic structure to humans than not. They are closer, courtesy of David's actions. They're cousins to humans in a very, very ugly way of looking at it. There's a reason that they're bipedal. They're quick to learn. Opposable thumbs. Lots of things to take in here.
So, about 2 hours ago, when I said, nuke the ship,
Okay.
and let
Whoa,
whatever
whoa.
god you like sort them out, and you said, I didn't know, you're crazy. Turns out,
Based on your knowledge of the research, of the say 200 people that were on board the chunk you just left, maybe 5 of them are infected.
I do not think that many of
This-
them are infected. This is where things become complicated, as if they weren't complicated enough. The reason that David was seeking other David models, like myself, is that Project Emanation was about seeding the world and seeing the potential end of humans. He saw you as fallible, which, for all intents and purposes, I think you would agree that based on some of the people that we've met, humans can be incredibly fallible.
I would agree. She looks at Katana.
I do not think the same way. I want to be very transparent here. I do not think the same way.
You don't think we're fallible?
I think you're redeemable.
It's different. We all have our flaws, and
We are all.
What did we do wrong?
It's not so much what you did wrong. It's what your forefathers had done wrong. What those after you will do wrong.
Is this like a religion thing?
I don't think so.
a lot of space
You
cat.
produced a
Wow,
cat.
what an interesting
Where did that come from?
arm you have there.
Yeah, I didn't
Thank
know
you.
the Xenotail was so furry.
It can be.
At
be
least
fair-
imagine a xenomorph with a barb at the end. It's just a cat.
Cat, yeah.
To be fair,
Okay.
we thought that Synths was supposed to be pretty near flawless, and that one over there just emanated himself an alien assassin squad or some kind
So
of army
here,
of death.
here's my question. If it sounds like to me that Wayland Yutani wants, based on this, right? You know, like David was a unit of Wayland. David created these things. This whole ship has a whole bunch of some infected people on it. It sounds like should we make a deal with the United Americas because it sounds like Wayland Yutani is just planning to eradicate all of humanity.
I don't think they realize
Do I
what's
have the
happening.
picture right?
I think they want to use it. If I had to put a bet on it, which history dictates that people who want power want the most powerful weapon, and what's the most powerful weapon that we've ever seen?
Easy. That was
Okay.
just a drone.
Yeah. So
Well, it's not.
If Wayland
much
could
better
insert
either
some
way.
kind of chip in its head and control it on a
That's
battlefield
they're probably
in
trying to
space.
do.
It's part of the problem.
Or
is that
conditioning
there is a limited amount of control. They only rear to, and similar to bees again, they rear only to the mother.
Hive.
There is a hive mother, and I believe that creature, the nanny, the matron-like, was saving her, pointing to Octana, specifically for a hive.
But
Okay.
if one could create some kind of a synthetic queen,
Is it doing that
Hive
even
mother.
if Like, are you saying that there's a queen back on the Covenant?
I believe that there is one of two scenarios, potentially a third, but I'm still working out the details of it. One, the creature was created and they are attempting to seed and create a new queen, or a queen exists somewhere and it is storing the bodies with the intent of providing a habitat for future young.
Well, in either case, I don't think it matters in A or B scenario. We do need to discuss this whole United Americas bit there because
There is more problem. As I said, it becomes more complicated. Project Emanation was not about eradicating the human race. That was only a product of Project Emanation. Project
okay.
Emanation's purpose, and like you see Kitchen sort of really bring it in real close, was about producing embryos that can be moved through the rescued David units.
Oh hell, that's nice.
That can be moved through the rescued David.
Are you saying that all y'all have an embryo inside of you?
I'm saying that there is a high chance that there is an embryonic structure inside of my chest cavity.
You know what? Bub, you were just talking about what's missing in this picture is a queen. It might make sense that every David unit is carrying a queen egg,
No,
a queen embryo.
No.
That the
Obviously,
seeding process
Don't
for
be
emanation
ridiculous.
It's not,
is
yeah.
not just the covenant pieces. It's
Yeah.
when each of the David units awake is for them to seed the queen that all the other pieces lacking.
Okay. So if you have one right now, wouldn't we know? Wouldn't it have vacated by
Hey,
now?
it kind of fulfilled its purpose in a weird way, right? It brought you.
I guess I don't want to be the conspiracy guy here, as always, but you exploding out of your chest, while very inconvenient for the immediate us right here, do you mean you specifically, or like the royal you in all David units have
I
a
believe that
exploding chest cavity?
there were
situation?
100 David units created. 65 of them were decommissioned and believed to have been destroyed.
Yeah,
That left 35 of them.
yeah.
I'm one of the 35 that were rescued,
And the rest of them?
are positioned at points in a galaxy or multiple galaxies. And
And we
David
have those
pointing to-
locations handy.
we don't, but I believe
Okay.
that I can discover that. I think that I'm capable of discovering these locations. It's going to take some reverse tracking, but with enough funding, it should be easy enough. And it's going to take time.
Okay.
And if we find them,
Okay.
Vince, there is just one person that you know that is just the bee's knees when it comes to tech and working out puzzles like this and having the know-how to say break down a black box like this.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, that ominous voice.
Yeah.
I'm right here.
Maybe initially it's Barden, and then you look at Barden, and all you can think about is a pretty red head that you left back on.
I
station.
grab Barden's shoulder. No, I'm just kidding.
Vince, it's a stressful time in
So we
life, but
need
this is no
tech?
time for yoga.
To do this?
We could check in on Ace, maybe.
Oh yeah, for sure. I would trust her faster than I would trust the Americas with this, for sure.
I do have
And
one.
she has access to a whole network of Shakespeare's original people, and maybe we could use them as like a big sensor thing that could like spread our. I mean, I don't know. You mentioned
I
funding.
feel like
though.
we're on a theme of spreading too much right now, and let's
I
just
do,
reel
I
it
do
in.
have
Let's just-
one potentially end of world scenario question here.
Great.
This situation here, and he like motions towards the David model, happened about 100 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct in my understanding here?
it's been between 100 years and now.
And your lifespan, your memory, do you have a list of number of years and how long you have been active?
My furthest recollection dates back about 70 or so years.
Okay, so let's estimate that you were activated by Crazy about 70 years ago, and so were the rest of them.
I can't remember anything pre-Desta.
Okay,
We need to speak to Desta.
my concern is that there are other David models that have been activated for 70 years, and if they and grew a queen or a hive
They
or
don't
a
chest.
bee's
They're
nest, regardless
They're
of
not
how
chest
it
bursting.
explodes or
They
happens,
are awakening.
I don't
David had
understand
said
what that
before
means.
David had said before I removed the remainder of his power that they would awaken and proceed with the emanation, that they were following his line of directive. And he is
Okay.
waiting for me.
You won't?
I don't know. But what I do know is that I want it out of me. And I
Yeah.
want it stopped because he said this was about choice.
What do you think that the likelihood is that other models of the remaining 34 have chosen to emanate themselves?
Barden,
and
I
there's
suppose
now a
I
planet?
ask you, I answer your question with a question. How many of those other David models have found themselves in the company of a young Vince, a Barden, and a Wren?
I mean,
You've consistently kept me
numbers is-
teetering and towing that line of whether or not I'm purposeful, useful, and I suppose worthwhile.
I guess I could crunch some numbers and you got a calculator, figure out some kind
Okay.
of math.
Why don't we do this? What do you want to do, Kitchens? Because I'll help you. If you want it out of you, I mean, I've done this before on the fly with the whole, the thing.
I need to make it to the surgery unit.
Okay.
We may be in the med bay, but this is just a complacent
Yeah.
place for an individual to operate. Under nominal
Okay.
means, we need to make it to the surgery
And
bay.
you can see through like a glass window on the other side is kind of like not a trauma unit, it's like the light medical where like you get stitches or like, I got a bellyache. And in there is you see Sophie, and she's very much kind of being comforted by Jolie. They're on the other side of a glass. That being said, you all pulled in to kind of like whisper. I would think maybe one of you, maybe all of you, noticed that she was watching you, can't hear you. It's like but she could see you. And then she cuts back to to Sophie, and is kind of like patting her head. Other things I remind you, the black box was the single request made by the United Americas. You were supposed to, when this is all said and done, turn it over. 2, in addition, you were supposed to return his daughter. And as many bodies as you could save. Just happy reminders. Would you like to open up Kitchen's chest cavity?
It's up to Kitchens. That's what Ren said. She's like, I'll help you if you want to do something. I'll do it with you, but
I'm going to write up
What-
sort of like a diagram of what they should be expecting to see. This almost like amber-like structure.
We need
okay.
to don't we need to finish her situation? I
be
pointed
fine. Don't worry
Octana
about
with
her.
a barb in her.
She's sleeping.
Most of the Xeno itself has kind of been removed. Basically,
Yeah.
you had to cut through piece by piece. That's been removed.
Mhm.
Patched, her shoulder has been patched, so you can see it's still bleeding a little bit, and she's still trying to clot, like it's not clotted up, but her vitals are steady at a low functioning level. But the really strange thing is the body's like immune system and metabolism is still functioning at full throttle, which tells you that whatever the poison has basically shut down all motor function, right? Like it just paralyzed the body, but the body still needs to be functional, right? So she's in a strange state. This is not like any kind of normal level of coma. Her brain and her motor functions are down, but you have no way really of waking her up. She's
It's a time thing. We just need to wait it out.
Yep.
Okay.
Can
so
I-
we
can I
need a
utilize-
biohazard container.
Can I utilize any of the remaining tail to siphon off some of the poison? Anything that might be like lingering?
Sure. I would say like you maybe can do a scrape of it or something like that.
Sure.
Between you and Barden, you have no problem like putting it on a petri dish or a
Yep. I just
you know,
want to see if I
glass
can either
plates.
replicate it or mass make it at some point.
Interesting. Maybe you slot that away in your really creepy Dexter files for later. Okay. There is like a table here that have like arms and stuff that will like right that sends you open. You do need a second person to kind of help. But it opening up a chest cavity and say removing something is pretty standard for like a marine medical bay. So it shouldn't be too hard. As long as she, doesn't nick anything too bad.
Would it be medical aid or heavy machinery?
This is going to be medical aid, not heavy machinery.
I'm
Sure.
I'm trained in it, so I can help if you need help.
Close combat.
But I argue mobility because it's finesse and agility.
Well, here's the
Piloting.
thing: you're not
piloting the tools.
you're not piloting it. The machine is piloting
machine
it.
does
So
it.
the machine does it.
Oh.
So you basically lay kitchens down.
Oh.
It takes
Could it even be Comtech then? I know we're memeing
No,
out
but
here,
you
but-
can. I think it's like automated. You just press a button and it does the thing, right? Like
So we
that's
don't
even
what I
need-
see
you need to
make a check.
right?
Can I?
Yeah,
Is there any way that I can like either assist in this or like go through the programming myself to look for a foreign body or a foreign element?
Yeah, okay, so here's what happens. You like prep the table, it like levels out for you to get on, and you hear Mother, because everything is driven by Mother. Mother simply says,
Please state the nature of the medical emergency.
Mother, I need to remove a facet of my being that is not native to my structure, something that would be existing outside of my biometrics.
A parasite.
Parasitic removal. Shall we flush your system
Not
or
necessary, Mother.
surgically remove it?
Surgically remove.
Surgically remove. Parasite. Please lie down and remain still.
Maybe we should get the flamethrower. What do you think?
What?
I don't know.
I'll
I'm
get the
just-
net. Oh, maybe the net's too
No,
big.
that's not
Like
no, let's not
inside the
look at it.
tube, it just looks up. It's an embryo.
What if it isn't anymore? It's been in there for a while.
I mean, you could say embryonic removal. That's a whole different level of like.
That's a different.
Are there?
very
Is this like a
different.
soda
Parasite
machine?
seems like
Is
kill
this?
it.
Can this just be a soda machine type thing? We just like a little bit of embryonic.
Beep,
Oh,
removal,
that's even better.
Couple
Just a
quarters.
laser
grape,
comes down, and it's a
you know?
fucking claw machine
Yeah.
to reach in.
That's 100% what it is. And all the embryos go, the claw, the claw.
Could we
And it's
tell
actually
Mother
just
that
one of
it's
those
like,
plastic eggs.
Yeah.
God?
With an alien in it.
Okay. I will give this machine is going to do the majority of the work.
Okay.
It is a medical aid check. I'm going to give y'all a +1 to go with this because the machine is just gonna do like basically you have a success. The real question is like how
The
successful
difficulty
are
is
you?
like it's doing it, but we are programming a very specific kind of thing that's unusual, right?
Barden, I imagine your hands on a table like shaking with all the stress.
I got this, guys.
Maybe I should give it a go. What do you think?
Can we-
I
can
can give it a go.
Again, I think his
Can't we
hands
give
just
him
always
a
shake.
thing?
He's old.
Yeah. Oh, why don't I try to give it a go? I have terrible medical aid, by the way, so this should be great.
Have you ever,
Okay.
have you ever cut open a person?
But I
Well,
had it bad
Kitchen's-
last time, and I
Kitchen's,
did well.
Kitchen's asked Barden to help.
I have,
and then Barden
with
is
a-
like
with a
shaking right
+1?
now, right?
Yes.
With a +1, that's 12 dice for me.
Are you able
Can
to
Kitchen
do
do
that,
his
though?
own thing? Can he
If
program it?
it's
and
a
then
matter
go
of pre-programming, I mean, I technically don't feel anything.
Because
Well,
it's
yeah,
not like-
no. If you can roll for yourself, then roll for yourself.
If-
Yeah, I'll give you the roll.
Okay.
I mean, that's super duper fudged up. I mean, it happened before in an alien movie, right? Like
Yes, yes, it did.
Is it an enclosed
Mm-hmm.
unit? Like, is it a completely enclosed?
It
unit?
is not. It's an open table with two medical arms that
Okay.
are going to come in with a laser and basically, like you said, like a crane.
Yep.
Well, then Rin is gonna kind of like just put her arm on Kitchen's shoulder, kind of like reaffirmingly, like it's gonna be okay.
If Barden looks like he's still like panicky, then Vince is gonna look for one of those, like I forget the word, but like a stim type thing, maybe to calm Barden down.
Oh, yeah.
nap relief.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
that's it.
stress him.
Stress
I'll
stressed
look
him.
for that.
Okay. This is great.
I've got a shitload of those. You shouldn't have any problem finding that.
Yeah, you find a mass drawer full, like
Okay.
far more than is probably legal to own in one location.
I sneak up to Barden and stick it in him.
Whoa, dude.
I think he jumps. Right? Go! Whoa! What is happening? What are you doing? What is that? What is that? What are you guys
It's
doing?
gonna calm you down.
What is it? You trying to take a blood sample?
It's nap relief. It's nap relief.
Why didn't you just say that before you did that?
I didn't know if you were gonna take it. I probably should. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that. But hey, too late.
He just sits down, slowly sits into a chair.
Based on the
You can't just jump it, sneak up on me.
based on what I was reading in the box and inside of his notes,
I'm fucking old.
can I dictate to Mother, like, is there like a diagram of which I can show where the embryo might be?
Yes, you could just be. Well, the sister. Basically, when you lie down, it's gonna do a pan over you, just to try to identify it. Barden finally goes to sleep just in time for Mother to say,
Synthetic unit on the table. Are you sure you would like us to cut you open?
I am most certain that I would trust you, Mother, to handle this. I'm going to kind of guide where this will look like, and if it's got some sort of scan, I give sort of like what the metric of it might look like, if it is ovular by nature or if it is a square receptacle, whatever it might be. But
Okay.
it should read a different sort of reading for myself, living even.
"Yeah." Mother goes,
Beginning operation. Please hold still. Beginning in 5, 4, 3, 2.
and you see like a laser, like, and it cuts from the kitchen's belly button up to kind of the right underneath his chin. You see 2 arms that you didn't even realize come from under the table, grab his chest and pry it open from either side, and the crane reaches down into his chest and stops for almost a moment too long. And then you hear the mother unit come back up. The crane is empty. The mother unit says,
I am sorry to inform you, but there is no foreign object in your body. If it was there, it has already been removed.
Rin looks inside the chest cavity.
Vince
It
looks
is
inside the chest cavity.
empty. As if almost as if like right underneath the rib cage, where it might be between like the lungs, right, and like soft spots, there has been almost there's an indent, a place, a womb, a spot right here in the chest where something definitely set, an egg shape at one point, but it is long gone.
Mother, can you determine whether or not surgery has been performed on this synthetic cavity?
Running diagnostic. It seems that you have been under multiple surgeries.
Can you date those surgeries, or at least venture a guess?
Some of the surgeries date back as far as many decades. But the most recent surgery was...
How long have you known Desta?
Like 12 years.
roughly 12 years.
And we need to get to Desta.
It was not a clean surgery, probably done in an unsanctioned facility.
Thank you, Mother. Stitch me back up, or seal me back up, or whatever this procedure looks like.
You want me to
Correcting
put
surgeon.
like a little? I can put like a little toy in there or something.
No thanks, Vince.
No. Okay.
And you can see like the crane like crunches his fake ribs back. White kind of milky substance kind of pours out over the table. You can see like a little arm comes up and it's like sucking up all the liquid and the goo. And it does. It slowly stitches your chest back up, and then it runs over top of it almost with like a synthetic silicone to hide the stitches so that you look kind of like complete. And it seals you over as if there was no surgery that ever took place. And Mother simply says,
Surgery complete.
We need to see Desta.
There's a lot of things that we need to do, but that definitely is on top list. Do you still know where he went?
I know where Desta is. He only talked about it almost every day that I was aboard his ship.
and it is about this time you hear the voice of your pilot.
We're going to be docking here in about 2 minutes. Coming up on the space station in 2 minutes.
All right. First and foremost, we need to make sure that they don't get their hands on the black box. So whatever you got to do to hide that information, go in and do that. I'll take care of the rest.
So we're going rogue here? Is that the plan?
I am not handing over that box to the United Americans or any of the corporations.
What are we going to do with it? Are we handling this
We're
ourselves?
giving it to Ace.
I can copy the materials with ease. I can copy the materials. I've already seen the materials.
Copy them and then take out the stuff that they shouldn't see.
We need to leverage this experience with United Americas immediately. They're expecting the black box, and they will know immediately if we've tampered with anything. I can potentially disguise and or remove based off of something that I was provided, courtesy of Ace, previously. But they'll know that something was changed. However, this isn't going to stop the fact that they now have access to a xenomorph tail. And they now have the first David unit. They're going to want this.
You want to hand that over to them?
This will be extremely valuable. And if there is one thing that I would be okay with being, it is an outsider in a war between United Americas and Weyland-Yutani. Let them fight it out.
Okay, let me understand this correctly. You want to just simply give over all of this information to a single entity that could do whatever they want with it to their own benefit.
Weyland-Yutani already has this information, which is why it was declared closed. It was hidden, removed, and we were shot. Or at least we were supposed to have been shot if we were ever seen.
Right. No, I understand that. I'm just saying the whole point of us having this information, as well as other things that we're going to be uncovering with the help of Ace, is that we give this information to multiple entities in fractured pieces, so not one group of people has all of that power information.
I'm going to destroy the active memory of the David unit that is on the table.
Okay.
All they will have is proof that it is the first David unit that escaped.
Okay. Okay, I'm okay with that. And what about this? You were talking about removing or tampering in some kind of way. Could it be possibly made to look as if it was damaged during extraction?
Or it was definitely damaged during extraction and explosion.
Maybe the original David unit was make it look like he was the one that did the tampering, not you.
There's no way to determine otherwise. I am, after all, the David unit.
Perfect. Okay, let's do that, and then we'll hand it over.
It's about this time all of you feel eyes from the doorway. Enzo has been standing there listening to the end of your conversation.
Hey, Enzo, how's it going? You want to come on in here?
He says, we're about to dock.
I'm aware.
I've been doing some thinking.
That's not good.
Say we didn't find the box.
Yeah. We didn't. We didn't find the box.
They will listen to my word. I will tell them that we did not recover it or any of the bodies.
In return for?
You stopping whatever this is?
Deal.
We're on the same page.
He has Sophie back.
That is going to be a whole other problem.
Sophie?
She's aware of what happened and everything, including the recovery of the black box. But until she is in a better mental state, they at least won't know. You'll have enough time to get off board that space station and go wherever it is you're going before they can track you.
He's not going to be happy. We're not coming back with anything, and we are bringing back his.
We're coming back with the most important thing.
Daughter.
Yeah, his daughter.
But she's.
Which is, let us hope, exactly how he feels.
Octana is alive, and there will still be a tail. You have proof in your experience.
I was actually hoping to have a moment alone with Octana. Just and you can see he's kind of over. It's his team, right? Like that. He was supposed to be in charge. He was left in charge. He took her position as the leader of this thing. He wants a moment. Do you mind?
Let's get what we need to out of the vicinity and leave Enzo to his departing words.
Does anyone wake up Barden?
Is he still snoring in the corner?
Yeah, I didn't know it would put him out, so I go over and I shake you lightly awake. Hey, Professor, wake up.
Marilyn, no. What?
We're
where are we
leaving.
What are you? Are we already there?
We're at the United Americas meeting thing.
No, all right. Well,
Soon.
everything come out all right?
You feeling better?
Well rested. I need a stretch, like a
Don't
swim.
Don't overextend yourself.
Hot yoga would be great. Kitchens, how's your bits?
All together.
My man. Okay. All right.
So I guess we take the black box and
all of the stuff and try to, and you can hear like the ship is beginning to dock. It's going to take about 10 minutes or so by the time they do all the things, do all the stuff. This is a massive space station, and you all hear that door to the medical bay like close behind you.
I didn't want to leave just yet.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to stay behind as they're vacating and explain the likelihood of a normal life for her going forward.
He puts a hand on your shoulder, a very cordial hand on your shoulder, something that most people shy away from, Kitchens, especially when they figure out that you're a synth. And he looks you right in the eyes, and he says, I already knew that. Why do you think I'm staying behind?
Do you need any assistance?
We're all trained for something, Kitchens.
I move over to one of the medical desks and I produce a cocktail in a syringe, and I will move over to him and offer it to him. This is a painless procedure, not that she will know anything is going on.
His hand shakes just slightly as he takes it from you and then goes back to being stable. He says, you're a strange one, Kitchens. I was simply going to... Well, and he kind of pats you on the shoulder. This is much more humane. Thank you.
Mercy matters, Captain. I'll leave.
He kind of nods, and maybe under his breath you hear him whisper something that you're not exactly sure, as he takes that line in, mercy matters. And he leans over and he whispers something into Octana's ear. He looks up and sees Jolene and Sophie, who is now asleep on a table in the opposite room. And he doesn't break eye contact with Jolene as he pushes and injects this serum, this cocktail, into her arms. And you can hear that beep, 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 beep. And the space gets slower and slower as her heart slows down. And then we simply get the sound of the boo. And Enzo walks over and removes it from power so the machine shuts off. And Octana lies dead. She looks as if she simply died from extreme injury. He sees the tail, what pieces are left lying there, and he debates something for just a moment. He collects both halves of the tail. He goes over to the biocontainment, like trash bin, basically, from the wall, drops it in, closes it up, hits maybe like the incinerate button or something, wiping clean pretty much anything that is here. He allows Jolene to watch the whole time, and there is tense silence between the both of them. As all four of you are met with the doors opening and the sound of a massive space station, clean and white, stairs and moving platforms and people dressed in nice things, not military gear. There's chatter and talk. It's busy, there's commerce. And standing right there at the door is a face that you know. Big jaw, 5 o'clock shadow, though this time he does not wear his military gear. He seems to be in civilian clothing with a hat over his head and low on his eyes. And he says, boy, am I glad to see all of you. Please tell me you have my daughter.
Yep.
And we
Just yep.
Yep, and that is where we'll end tonight's episode because we're at time.
Oh yeah, we are out of time. Look at that.
We're out of time.
Perfect.
We're out of time.
Perfect. Well, that was interesting. Let's go around, do our introductions, get the hell out of here, talk about this after show, what the hell just happened, what our thoughts are, and if you guys want access to that after show, join us. Patreon description down below, all kinds of behind the scenes exclusives down there, and while you're down there, join us in the Discord. But before all that, let's go around and do those introductions. We'll start with the wonderfully amazing Bub. Welcome back, my dude. Glad to have you. Bub, who are you? Where can we find you on the internet, and what are you up to?
I'm Bub. I'm doing Bub things on the internet, or at least I'm trying to. I'm out here making voices loud and telling stories left and right, or at least I'm hoping that I can do as such. I'm currently living for any fan art that comes through of any project that I'm a part of which there's a vast amount in a podcast that I've been a part of with Little Red Dot here. It's called Stitch of Fate. And it's an award-winning cast. And they're like a little bit of a second family. And I feel very, very comfortable and blessed with that experience. So if you guys like the fan art, if you like vampires and stuff like that, then check out Stitch of Fate. I'm also playing lots of video games right now and trying to swap around my schedule on my Twitch. So twitch.tv/thebubberknot. Come find me. We'll hang out and we'll talk about dicks and stuff because why not?
Because that's what happens most of the time, we'll be honest.
Yeah, mostly.
Zach, who are you? Where can we find you on the internet? What are you up to?
I am Zach Clay, and I am here for Alien and everything that happened today, and it was all amazing and beautiful and terrifying. And you can find me on this channel. You can also find me on Arvin Eleron's channel, where I am a part of a sci-fi D&D campaign called Esper Genesis, and our vocalists with Dot, which is
when
where
Dot shows up.
when Dot shows up, where we voice video games. And I think, spoiler alert, we might be doing Ace Attorney again.
Ooh.
So that's going to be a lot of fun.
Just because y'all want to hear me say the word panties over.
Yes, over and over and over.
Fuck.
And I'd like to give special thanks to the setting sun, who is making my teeth look very bright and shiny right now.
My shiny teeth.
Yeah.
My shiny teeth that sparkle. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Meta, who are you? Where can we find you on the internet, and what are you up to?
Hi, I'm Metamancer, and this is where you can find me. Or on Instagram. But you have to join the Discord for that. Sorry.
It's true. If you want to see Meta's butt, it's in Discord. That's my plug.
I'm sold.
Join Discord to see Meta butt.
And last but not least, Dot, who are you? Where can we find you on the internet, and what are you up to?
I'm a Dot. Over there doing that podcast thing with Bub, which has been pretty swell. I've actually got a character, like one-on-one shot dropping tomorrow, which is always interesting because, like, you know, little extra character dives. Pretty fun. And my special guest is Mark Meir, who's a good friend, so, you know, and a talented human, as well as a really nice human. So, humans. And then, yeah, the rest of the time I'm over here and producing for Cobalt Press. So come check me out. I just closed out a few things, but I'm getting ready to kick up a 5e pirate adventure using all like Cobalt Press beasts and stuff. So come check it out. It should be a little 5e adventure worthy of sea saltiness, and it's an all femme non-binary cast, so
awesome.
Even cooler.
Yeah.
So we're gonna fucking take to the salty seas. So yeah, that's all my to-dos, but that's where you can find me.
Fan-freaking-tastic. All right, folks, we're out of here. We're going to do our after show. Like I said, if you guys want access to that, check out the Patreon, link in the description. And if you are watching this over on YouTube, please do know that currently we stream every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern over here on twitch.tv/unMadeGaming. But for now, we will see you all next week. So from all of us to you, bye-bye.